Welcome to AromaticChat, the podcast that introduces you to registered, clinical, and certified aromatherapists around the world. Every other week, I sit down with a different aromatherapist to learn about their aromatic journey and how they use essential oils in their lives and their businesses. Hey friends, I'm your host, Melissa. Today on AromaticChat, I am in the hot seat. At the beginning of each year, I ask someone to interview me for the show, and I do it for a couple of reasons. One is to just share a little bit more of who I am with you, and the other is so that I never forget what it's like to come onto a show and be interviewed. This year, I asked my good friend Jodi Baglien, who I interviewed for the show back in 2021. You can listen to episode number 5 to learn more about Jodi. She asked me some really thought-provoking questions, and I hope you enjoy hearing a little bit more about me in this first episode of Season 4 of Aromatic Chat. So, let's get started.
I'd love to hear more from you about is Lemon Balm Coaching. One of your abilities I've found from getting to know you better and working with you is you don't add a whole lot of static to the conversation. Or to whatever is going on. And I would imagine that is the same as, and that is a part of who you are and in your life. And I think that's a wonderful quality as a coach.
Well, thank you. I agree.
But tell me more about Lemon Balm Coaching. And maybe I'd love to hear a little bit about where it started, where you are now, and where you want to go.
Oh my gosh, where it started. Well, before this is going to be like the pivot point for just about everybody who's been alive over the last couple decades. Before COVID, I worked for my chiropractor. And one of the chiropractors in the office would always come to me. He'd close the door and he'd be like, okay, this is what I have going on. What do you think? And I would just help him kind of work through what he was dealing with. And he would end it by saying, thanks, coach, because I was like his unofficial life coach. He would come to me with questions and I would help him out because I'm older. I was the oldest person in the office. So, the gray hairs are a real thing. They're not, I know it's trendy to be gray, but no, I really am gray. But he would come to me and say things like that. And I had so many people throughout my life say things like that. Wow, thanks, life coach. You should be a life coach. Why don't you become a life coach? And then we moved to Guam and then the world shut down. And I thought, well, what better time to go back to school and become a life coach? Mm-hmm. So my aromatherapy training is actually the thing that made me realize that coaching was the way that I wanted to go, because I'd be working with a client in an aromatherapy capacity. And I would help them kind of dig down, get to the root of what was going on. And then like almost as an afterthought, oh, and by the way, I'm going to make this blend for you to help out with that thing. And it was just like, wow, I really love digging down. I love to dig down and get to the root of the issue. So I went back to school during the pandemic through the Health Coach Institute, did their flagship program, went on to their master program, became a transformational coach. And now I'm at this place where I just always feel like I'm in flux. I don't feel like I've been able to nail my niche and figure out who it is that I serve and everything, and I actually just thought about this today because I'm a complex person. I don't just have one thing in my life. I have a bunch of things in my life. So when I think about just picking one of those things and that becoming the thing I do, I really struggle with that. So to encourage anybody who's listening, who's struggling with narrowing down or nailing down their niche, you're not alone. But I always feel like I'm in constant transformation. And that's kind of what I do. It's transformational coaching. I'm not just going from one point A to point B. I'm going from point A to point B, but I'm also going to eventually get to point D because I have to go through point C. I'm always changing. I'm always transforming. And now that I've moved back to the States, it's like another opportunity to transform my coaching business.
What I've learned about you is there is not just one thing about you. I'm always surprised that, oh, I see you're doing this, and oh, I see you're doing that. And I think that's true for a lot of people. And so that's what I wanted to hear, because it was more just about, where is this for you? Where has it been? How has it landed on you? Are you, yeah, there's still a place for
Well,
this in me. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I can tell you, like, my real gifting
Mhm.
is taking something. Okay. Something could be a person, a business, taking something and transforming it and making it better than what it was, whatever better looks like, because better is different for everybody. So taking something that already exists and helping it transform into really what it has the potential to become. That's my real gift. And I'm still trying to figure out how to put that into words, like how to make it so that other people can understand that that's what I do. So whether it's a person struggling or a business struggling, stepping in and going, okay, let's breathe, let's see what's going on. Okay, let's focus here, 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 and here, and then propel that forward. That's really my gift. Steering people and things.
And so you're finding that you're applying those skills in no matter what it is that is on your plate this week, this month, this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So whether it's life coaching, aromatherapy, being an executive assistant, working in the financial industry, whatever it is, because I do all those things, whatever it is, just steering people in a better direction. And it's not that you're on a wrong path. It's not that you're on a bad path. It's not always that your life is falling apart. Sometimes you just want more. Sometimes you just want better. And that's what I help people figure out and then help them get there.
Because the essence of who you are is who you are, no matter what it is that you're doing.
Right.
One of your other gifts is that you know who you are.
I'm getting there. That midlife thing. I've kind of figured out the things that are
Mhm.
important, the things that are not important, the things that I want to focus on, and the things that I just really want to let go. Absolutely.
So what have you lost interest in that you used to give energy to?
Let me think on that for a second. Because and the reason I say let me think on that for a second is because the past year has been a lot of letting go of things. My brother passed away in November of, what is this year? November of 22. And I have always been the kind of person that just puts my nose to the grindstone and goes. And it's not that I push aside who I am or what I want or anything. I used to do that. I don't do that anymore. But I'm a doer. I get things done. I love to work. I love to do. And when my brother passed away, I had a moment of what I considered grief and then got back to life. I mean, because this is part of life. Death is part of life. But for the past year, I've really been struggling to maintain the joy in the things that I used to love. I love reading, dancing. I love people. I've always been an extrovert, but over the past year, I've just been really struggling with all of those things. And then we passed the anniversary. We call it the angelversary of my brother's passing. And I went, oh my gosh, I've been grieving. I've been grieving for the past year, but it didn't look like traditional grief. So I wasn't aware that I was actually grieving until it was past. And one of the things I love to tell people about grief is it has its own timeline, and you can't tell anybody to just get over it. It has to work its way through you. So it worked its way. And now I'm starting to get back to the things that I enjoy. And I'm not really sure what those are yet because I want to take my time and figure that out. I don't want to just go back to the way it was before, like everybody tried to do after COVID, right? We all tried to go back to life as usual, and that didn't work. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go back to life as usual. So what are the things that I've let go of? I really, and I've kind of always been like this, but I really just think people can just be themselves. And I don't need to worry about how they're being. I don't need to worry about what they're doing. They can just be themselves. And I've always been that way, but it feels much more powerful now. Very libertarian minded. Do you, boo? You do you. I don't have time. I'm on the downhill side of life, right? I don't have time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that anymore. So I've definitely let that care go. And like I said, I've always been that way, but it's even more so now.
Cheers to that.
I think I've let go of some of the rigidity in my schedule. I was always very rigid with my schedule. This is what happens at specific times throughout the day. And, like yesterday, I slept in and didn't worry, so the rigidity of my schedule, I've let go. I still have a schedule. I just still try to keep to it because there's things that have to get done, right? But
You who's sending me emails at 6 a.m. in the morning. And me who's answering them.
I was up, I was working already, but, working at 6 a.m. wasn't on my schedule. Like I said, I'm just not quite as rigid as I used to be. I'm a lot softer now in a lot of ways.
So then
we want to talk about that one.
I won't ask the question, how have you grown and changed since last year?
Well, because of the whole grief thing,
you kind
I've
of
grown quite a bit.
That was the grief thing. So if I said,
I always tell people, I'm a grandma. I can't have like rock hard abs. I'd hurt my grandkids. That's not cool. Grandmas need to be squishy.
Grandmas need to be soft, comfy.
Yeah, soft and comfy and squishy. How have I grown? Well, let me count the sizes.
Oh, so you've been doing closet clean out too.
Yeah, a little bit.
Little bits, yeah.
A little bit. Let me just say, yoga pants are my friend right now.
We're so happy that leisure wear came back into the world, right?
Oh, and that I work from home. Nobody can see my yoga pants but me.
Yeah, I think on that vein, I think that, that's kind of what I like to always look at people and what's changing in them and where are they headed. And somebody asked me the other day, kind of a planning type of a question and I, for like the year or whatever. And I just said, I just really can't even do that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm good for a couple of weeks out. Do you find that true for you? Just because of that idea of that, I can have a goal. I can kind of know that I'm going to follow, a certain path, but experience tells us lately, ha ha ha.
Well, I do tell my clients, you should go ahead and write your goals in permanent ink, right? You've got this vision, you've got these goals, and those are important. If you don't know what your goals are, you're never going to achieve anything, right? We have to know what our goals are. So that's really important to write in permanent ink. But write your daily plans in erasable pen, because that stuff changes. That stuff changes all the time. And they make these awesome erasable pens and highlighters. I highly recommend them. I use them all the time because my days change.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not as rigid as I used to be, and being able to just look at my calendar and going, well, that's just not going to work today. Let me see where else I could fit that in, and moving things. Yes, my goals are in permanent ink. This is my goal is here. I know what I want, but how am I going to get there? That's what changes each day. Because, like when you go hiking, right? You're hiking up a mountain and you look up and you see there's the top of the mountain. I'm going to get there. And then you start on your trip. and you realize there's all these switchbacks, and sometimes you go down before you can go up again. It's the same thing. So you've got the goal, the plan is very clear, and then plans change because you thought you were at the peak and then you look up and that was a false peak. You've still got more to go. So yeah, make your goals in permanent ink, but make your plans in erasable pen.
Yeah, I think if anything, we learn, whether it's by the times we're in or as we're getting older, that adaptability and flexibility is crucial for happiness.
Absolutely.
It's crucial. And you, with your mountain or your hiking analogy, it's like you almost don't even know until you take 10 more steps where that next turn is. You really don't. And you go, oh, I thought I was going there, but I guess I'm going to be going left for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. We hiked Guadalupe Peak one time in West Texas. There's 3 false peaks before you get to the top. And we had, these young kids with us hiking, and we're like, okay, we're almost there. And we'd get to the first peak and they'd be like, yay. And I'm like, nope, not there yet. Let's keep going. And that's kind of like what it is with coaching too, right? We made our goal. Great. We've met a goal. Now let's set a new one. It never, we don't end. Why should our goals end? As long as we have breath, we should be changing and moving and shifting and growing.
There's a saying I always liked: guideposts, not dogma.
That's good.
You know who you are, you know what you got your ethics, you got your interests, you got your skills, but it's when you get stuck into but it has to be done like this, or I have to do it before 4 every day, or I must do this. It's like, oh, good.
And I used to be that way. I was very rigid, very, very rigid. And I don't know if it's the pandemic or my age or a combination. Living on an island for 3 years, you get that half a day spirit going on, but I don't know. It's just, I'm a lot softer than I used to be.
That's a good thing. I think that's a mature thing.
Well, and I think that rigidity is who we think we're supposed to be.
It's the program.
That's who we think we're supposed to be. But this softness that I've come into is like who I really am. It's completely different than who I thought I was supposed to be, according to, the world and the programming.
Well, to that, do you have favorite, I wouldn't say daily because that's rigid, but favorite practices that you do that really help you, that you would like to share?
I do. When I get up in the morning, one of the first things I really enjoy doing is just getting on my yoga mat and doing some gentle stretches. The older you get, the harder it is for your body to move, but our bodies were created to move. So I love just get on my yoga mat in the morning and just do some gentle stretches, even if it's not a bunch of strength training. I don't love, but I do enjoy body weight strength training.
Mm-hmm.
But really those morning stretches, and just really, it's quiet in the morning. Everybody's still asleep except for me and the animals. And it's just really nice to have that opportunity to set up the day in a gentle way, instead of, got to get to the gym at 4 a.m. and pump some iron, which I've done. I've done that in the past too. That was part of my rigid self. But now just getting up in the morning and taking that quiet time. And then after I do my stretching, then I can read scriptures or pray, meditate, whatever it is, just to set the day up. I don't know. I move through the day more gently when I start out that way. If I jump out of bed and just get going, it's like glitchy. The day is glitchy.
Just that space to ground and go within and yeah, kind of land back in your body.
Yeah, and stretch.
And
like
stretch.
The actual physical stretching part is really important.
Oh, very, very, very important.
I've been in a lot of collisions. Not a lot. I've been in several collisions throughout my life. So, my body just, it aches.
Mhm.
when I wake up in the morning. So getting on the floor and doing those stretches is really critical for me.
Mhm. What are you grateful for right now?
Right now, I'm actually super thankful for my sister.
Mm.
She's my older sister, 3.5 years to the day. And over the last year since losing my brother, my
Mhm.
sister and I have become very close. And we weren't close before that. There was a lot of that older, younger sister angst, you know.
Yeah.
But throughout the past year, bonding over losing my brother, we've really become close. And I'm just really thankful for her right now. We even do like a daily check-in. We've never talked every day, ever in our lives. Even when we lived in the same house, we never talked every day. So it's just really, it's really cool, the relationship that we're building.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So that's who I'm thankful for right now.
Mm.
I'm also thankful for being in Tennessee. I mean, I'm in the house that my grandparents owned at the end of their life, and it's going to be our retirement home. We're working on fixing it up and bringing it up to 2023 code. Very thankful to have this place to call home and be a place where we can spend the rest of our days. It's good.
So I know you have something to greatly look forward to coming up in the next some days. You want to talk
Mhm.
about that?
Well, my husband is still working, and he does not live here with us in Tennessee. He actually lives in Texas where his job is, and he's going to be there until retirement age, which is 65. So that's in a couple of more years for him. So we're living apart right now, which is, stressful, but we knew it was coming. It was an expected thing. And he was prior military and he was deployed a lot. So this is not the first time we've lived apart, which is good. We've already had this experience before. We know the difficulties of it and the challenges, but he's coming to visit. So I'm very excited. I get to see him real soon and just spend a week with him, enjoying being together. That'll be fun.
I hear Dollywood is in on the list.
It is on the list. Can't wait. Oh my
Of
gosh.
course
I've
of
only been
course
to
it is.
Dollywood once, but I loved it. I had so much fun. They do have rides there, but it's more about the shows. So
Mhm.
we're a very musical family, performing arts, big time performing artist here. And it's just going to be so much fun. I even looked on I looked on her job site, like all the positions that they're hiring for. Not that I'm looking for another job. I was just curious. And like
Wouldn't it be fun?
they're hiring for everything from, maid service all the way to theater hands and stage managers and chefs. And I mean, they're hiring for everything. I was like, this is so cool. How cool is this? Anyway, Dollywood. Can't wait.
There could be a future pathway that takes you through performing at Dollywood. Who
Who
knows?
knows? Who
Who
knows? Or
knows?
maybe they'll want to, maybe she'll want to create a signature aromatherapy blend for who knows, for
Oh,
Dollywood.
the possibilities. Oh, the possibilities.
Possibilities. So, Dolly, if you're listening,
Somebody, please pass this along to
um,
Dolly if you have an
yes,
info
if you know
head.
Dolly, please pass this along. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Yeah,
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be fun?
it would be, wouldn't it?
What I really loved about being so honored to be asked to do your yearly interview is that what you're doing is that call to celebration and honoring yourself in that. This is what I would like to have because I was astounded to find out how many Aroma chats you have done.
Yeah, yeah.
Blows my
There's
mind.
90 as of December 2023. 90.
You've literally taken a historical who's who library of aromatherapy of the last how many years you've been doing this?
Uh, this is my 4th year, so 3 years solid
Okay.
every other week.
Your list of who's who in aromatherapy is amazing, and not that it's even all about that at all. It's just who's doing aromatherapy and what and why.
Mhm.
So I just, as part of that celebrations tend to be at birth or at death or I don't know, these days, I guess you get celebrated if you graduated preschool, but, but anyway,
But as adults, we don't
we're
celebrate
not
ourselves.
doing it enough for each
We think
other.
it's prideful, really prideful to celebrate ourselves, like prideful in a bad way, but it's not. And it's not about being prideful. It's just about celebrating the good things that are happening in your life. We don't do enough of that.
I think it's celebrating the good things and allowing and giving space for those people that are in your life that mean something to you, to tell you what that is. And what sparked that was something I had read the other day, and it was of a teacher, and it was actually a math teacher. And one day she had everybody, and I think these were grade school kids, and she had everybody. The first assignment was say what you like, say something that you really liked about everybody in the class. And then she gathered them all and gave them to each kid to hear what every one of her classmates, their classmates, had said about that. And then I think it was later in life at the teacher's funeral or something like that, that the family heard the stories. I think that's how it was. But never, the point is that one story was, it was he was a veteran and he had been hurt in the war, in one of the wars, whenever, I don't know what time frame this was in, but that was still in his wallet. No, he had passed. So you may know that story, but it's just that whole idea of how it changed the entire energy of her class. It had changed their lives in so many ways, to actually hear how much people, what they think of you. And it had positively,
Yeah.
and to be admired for the gifts that you're presenting. And so I really love this idea, because through sharing your time with over 90 people in aromatherapy, you're honoring that role of an aromatherapist in a way that doesn't get done. I mean, it's still like, you're a what? What do you do? And it's better than when I started in 1999 and, quickly found, well, what would I come to see you for? And there's still some of that going on these days, but it's that honoring of your role in aromatherapy, other people's role in aromatherapy. And I think it is a time capsule of this skill set and these people.
Yeah,
And
it's been an honor to interview some of our vintage aromatherapists through the years.
yes,
And hear their stories, because I don't think anybody's written those down or shared those anywhere else, so it's really been just an amazing process. Somebody asked me the other day, they said they listened to one of the episodes of a vintage aromatherapist, and they said, are you like totally humbled to be able to do this? And I said, well, yes, but at the same time, like, no one else was doing this. And I have a skill set and I can do it. So I just started doing it. I didn't sit down and plan out my podcast like they tell you to do. I just jumped right in. And that's kind of the way that I am. If I see something that I can do, well, let me back up a little bit. I learned a long time ago, don't say something unless you're willing to do something about it.
yes.
So the podcast came out of that. Like, I wanted to talk to my aromatherapy friends. I wanted to learn about them. Well, who better to do that? I guess that's me.
Congratulations. You found a niche and
Thank
you
you.
filled it.
Thank you. Yeah.
And that speaks back to the, if you set such a clear plan that you can't see the signs that just came along the way of, oh, this would be a really good idea. Let's go left here for a while.
Right.
That's how I think where the magic is, because the plan is one thing, but living in the moment and showing up.
Yeah. And I had
Mhm.
no idea that we'd be going into 4 years of this. No clue when I started. I thought it was just going to be something fun to do for a little bit. But apparently people really enjoy it. So I'll keep going
Yes.
for a while.
Well,
Yeah.
I hope that you do.
Thank you.
That you do. I have one more thing to ask you then.
Okay.
All right. So, I like asking this of kids instead of like, oh, well, what do you want to do when you grow up? Or what are you going to college for?
I
So
hate that question.
oh my gosh,
I hate that question.
what a difficult question to have people throw at us. But I like instead, and so I want to ask this of you because it's
Okay.
one of my favorite questions to ask people. What problem in the world would you like to be a part of solving? What does your unique talent bring in, or what do you want to see? What can you help solve, or a problem you want to be a part of fixing?
I really want to see people being who they were designed to be. Is there a passion underneath that's driving you? I want to help people figure that crap out. Because if you don't have a passion for what you're doing, it is literally just a job and it will kill you because it's going to sap everything out of you. And I know it's a cliche phrase, but if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And there's truth in that because then it's a passion and it's a joy. It's not a job. I want to help people figure out who they were designed to be and then give them the tools to achieve that. That's what I want to do as a life coach. That's what I want to use my aromatherapy skills to help people do. And I think it blends together. Oh, and energy healing too. It all works together to make that possible. That's what I want. That's the problem I want to solve. Everybody needs to stop pretending and just be who they are.
Well said. Couldn't
Yeah.
agree more. Too afraid to be your authentic
Self.
Just staying so true to yourself and figuring out who you are and what you're here to do and what you're good at, and just freaking do it.
Yeah.
And stop worrying. And I'm like 3 fingers pointing back here at me because that's that. I mean, we go through these things in so many layers in our life, don't we? We know this stuff.
Yeah. Well, and and Dolly Parton is quoted as saying, figure out who you are and do it on purpose.
And do it on purpose. I love that.
Don't haphazardly go through this life
Mhm.
and hope you'll end up being true to yourself. Figure out who you are and do it on purpose. She's a brilliant woman, that Dolly Parton. I'm just saying.
I know you admire her. It's a funny who we admire.
Well, the reason I think one of the reasons
those that we aspire to. Yeah.
Well, one of the reasons I admire her, she's from Sevierville. That's where my family is from. That's where we have a family graveyard in Sevierville. Like, we are mountain people. That's who we are.
Mhm.
And here she is, poor, that coat of many colors. That's her story.
Mhm.
And here she is, a billion, trillion, gazillionaire. She's still herself.
Mhm.
She is who she is. And all that fame and glory didn't change that.
Unapologetically yourself.
She is unapologetically herself. And I think that's something we can all aspire to.
Mhm.
I hope you enjoyed this episode with special guest host, Jodi Baglien. My prayer for you is that this year you will figure out who you are on purpose. If you're a longtime listener of the show, thank you for always showing up to hear the stories of the aromatherapists that I interview. If you're new to the show, I offer a hearty welcome and hope you stick around for a while. There's a lot more to come. I want you to know that I am here for you. My passion is helping people succeed, and I love to use my aromatherapy, life coaching, and energy work to make that happen. I invite you to connect with me on Instagram at Lemon Balm Coaching and on the web at lemonbalmcoaching.com. I will see you next time with our next episode. Until then, peace, love, and aromatics.